Hello friends, welcome to the third part of the video about South Africa and Eswatini. And this video is going to be focusing on Cape Town and Stellenbosch. Just to remind you about our itinerary, if you haven't watched the previous parts, go watch them. But we arrived to Johannesburg, took a plane to Mbombela, hired a car, drove around, visited the Panorama Route and Kruger National Park. We also drove to Eswatini and spent a night there. Then we took a direct flight from Mbombela to Cape Town, hired a car again, drove around Cape Town and also visited Stellenbosch. In total, we had around 3 full days to see Cape Town, and we also spent 1 day in Stellenbosch. But on top of that, we were actually working from Cape Town for 2 days, so we got to spend a few more evenings exploring the restaurants and other activities Cape Town has to offer. We landed in Cape Town on a direct flight from Nelspruit near Kruger National Park around 3 p.m. But by the time we received our baggage, it was actually already getting pretty late, so we rushed to Camps Bay to see a sunset. We've read a few articles that mentioned Camps Bay as one of the most beautiful places to see sunset in Cape Town, and we just couldn't miss it, so that's why we started driving there immediately. It took us around 35 minutes to get there from the airport, and keep in mind that we were visiting Cape Town in UK summer, which means it was winter in Cape Town, and sunset was really early. It was a beautiful sunny day, so the sunset was incredible, but it was quite windy. It was so windy, it was not possible to film outside, and we had struggled to walk around, but nonetheless, it was really beautiful. Actually, Camps Bay is one of relatively few areas in Cape Town where you can safely walk. Unfortunately, Cape Town is not one of the best cities for safety. It's definitely one of the most beautiful cities in the entire world, and probably one of my favorite cities in the world, but safety is not its strong side. So Camps Bay is one of the areas where you can sort of put your guard down a little bit and enjoy the restaurants, enjoy walking around, and just kind of enjoy the beach. Our first night in Cape Town we spent at a hotel called Protea Fire and Ice, located very close to the Cloof street, and we checked in, and from there we took a taxi. It was a ridiculously short 5-minute taxi ride to the restaurant nearby called Asoka. It was pretty average restaurant. I would say there are much better places to go in Cape Town. Good morning everyone, we are going for a little walk in Cape Town. It's going to be a 10-minute walk to a breakfast place. We are going to attempt to walk one of Cape Town's most busy, popular tourist streets, Cloof. It's written K-L-O-O-F, and yeah, it's morning, it's like 9 a.m. It's light. It's not advised to walk this area after dark, but I think we're hopefully going to be fine during the day. And I'll try to film. Our walk was really short. It literally took us around maybe 10 minutes, but on the way we saw quite a few nice cafes and shops, so we decided that we were gonna go back there after our brunch because we were quite hungry. The place we went for was called Our Local at Cloof. It was located literally opposite the restaurant where we ate yesterday, but this place was absolutely amazing. They had fresh pastries, and the entire atmosphere of the place was nice. It was so laid back. It felt like a nursery, like a place where you buy flowers. And honestly, coffee was really good. Food was delicious, and the prices were also really nice, especially compared to London brunches that are pretty expensive these days. After brunch, we went for a walk on the Cloof Street. As I mentioned before, Cape Town is unfortunately struggling with a lot of crime, and it's a pretty dangerous city to walk around, especially after dark. But Cloof is one of those streets where it's relatively safe to walk, especially when it is light. It's a busy street. There are lots of people always rushing to work. Lots of film studios and agencies are located around the street. There are also lots of different restaurants and nice shops. I've seen a few vintage shops and a few independent boutiques. So if you want to do a little bit of shopping and if you want to visit some interesting South African brands, this is a place to go. I've seen really quite a few of them here, and they were not too expensive because Victoria and Alfred waterfront area also has a few boutiques, but those are many times more expensive than the boutiques located in this area. We have a lunch booked, but it's not raining yet, but I feel like it's gonna rain any moment. So we decided that we're gonna go for the shopping mall because we have 1 hour before lunch, and we're gonna just see the Victoria and Alfred shopping mall. It looks interesting, and since we don't have that much time, it's a good thing to do. So the shopping mall I was referring to is called Victoria Wharf Shopping Centre. It's located very close to Victoria and Alfred V&A Waterfront, and it's probably the fanciest mall in all South Africa. It looks very posh, but it doesn't only have posh boutiques like Louis Vuitton. It also has pretty decent normal stores, lots of international brands like Superdry, but also a few very interesting South African brands. We've seen one that we really liked, and even wanted to buy some things, but they were unfortunately out of stock in my size. But we discovered that they do deliver to the UK, so we might be ordering from there later. Our next destination was the restaurant we booked for lunch. It was actually located in the financial center of Cape Town, so we got to see a new area of the city, and it's called V&A. We found it on the list of the top restaurants in Cape Town, and it's also featured in the top 50 restaurants of all Africa on place 1 of Africa, the continent. So you can imagine the food quality there was really amazing. V&A specializes in set menus. In fact, you can order different set menus, but you can't order any a la carte dishes. And I think it's a right thing because they can only showcase the kind of idea of their cooking through a set menu. But on the negative side, of course, the price is more expensive. It's much easier to book it for lunch, and lunch is also much cheaper than dinner. One of the reasons to book for lunch. It's also emptier. Dinners tend to book out in advance, but nonetheless, I recommend booking at least a couple of days in advance if you're booking for lunch on a weekday, and a couple of weeks in advance if you're booking for dinner or on the weekend. But everything was delicious. It was honestly one of the best meals of the year, and I would definitely come back to the restaurant if I ever come back to Cape Town, which I hope will happen. The same day we were actually traveling to Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is located just an hour driving from Cape Town with a lot of traffic, and probably 45 minutes away when there is no traffic. And Stellenbosch is known worldwide as the wine capital of South Africa. It's also a large town. There's even a university, but we didn't see the town, unfortunately, and the weather wasn't really welcoming. We didn't want to walk around in the rain. It was also pretty cold, so we just headed to our hotel directly. We stayed overnight at a place called Lanzerac. It's one of the oldest estates in South Africa and one of the oldest hotels. They also have a pretty old winery, but they haven't, of course, started making wine in the 17th century. It was, however, recently renovated, so everything looks pretty new and well taken care of. And it's absolutely stunning inside. It's so gorgeous. I was blown away by the beauty of the room and the views, and I just wish we were here in summer because I think it's probably 10 times prettier in summer when there are leaves on the wines, and just overall the ambiance is probably a little bit better, more cheerful in summer. We had dinner in the hotel as well. They have a couple of different restaurants, and just went to sleep relatively early. For me, it's very unique and interesting. It feels like it's a really nice, warm beginning of November sort of day in the UK, or maybe even in Italy, because it looks obviously way more like Italy than the UK. But in the UK and Italy, it's actually really hot right now because it's summer. So it's very unique that you fly to the other side of the world and it's similar landscape, but it's completely different time of the year. As you know, just having these strange thoughts. It was time for us to go for breakfast. Breakfast was actually included in price, and the size of a breakfast was probably fit for a king. We were so full after eating there, so everyone gets this massive board. And besides that, you can also order kind of like a hot dish, like eggs from the menu. So we definitely ate way too much, but everything was delicious. It was just so good. We also had a wine tasting booked at 11. Unfortunately, we arrived 10 minutes too late for the last wine tasting of a day, the day before. So we had to take our wine tasting in the morning. And we also had a tour of the Lanzerac winery and wine production kind of provided to us by the guide from the hotel. There was also another family joining the tour. I think there were also guests of the hotel. But yeah, it's kind of free of charge for the hotel guests. And the wine tasting is also free of charge. But having taken the wine tasting now, I must say that I would probably recommend upgrading and getting a more expensive kind of heritage tasting instead of normal one, because the wine in the heritage tasting is 10,000 times better, and we actually bought a couple of bottles from the heritage tasting. The heritage tasting costs around 220 rand per person, which is equivalent to around £10. But if you're staying at a hotel and you're not taking the normal tasting, you just need to pay, I think, 100 extra rand, and that's it, which is like £4 or £5 pretty much. Now we're heading to another winery. Well, that's not really actually a winery, it's more of a luxury hotel and a deli and a farm called Babylonstoren. I've heard a lot of it, so that's where we actually pre-booked a lunch in advance. And it's around 25 minutes driving from Lanzerac. So we're gonna be just on time. If you're planning to taste a lot of wine, I recommend taking a tour or the Franschhoek tram, which will deliver you to a few wineries, and then booking a transfer to the tram and back. Because if you're driving yourself, you won't be able to drink a lot at all, almost at all. You will be only able to taste a little bit of wine. Since Pepe was driving, I was the one tasting most wines, and of course, by the end of a tasting, I was really sleepy. But walking around Babylonstoren farm actually woke me up a little bit. So Babylonstoren is free to visit if you have a restaurant booking, but if you just want to walk on the premises, enjoy the botanic garden and the farm, you can pay an entrance fee, which is not too high at all. But the place is absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen such a beautiful farm in my life. You can spend hours walking around, and it's of course super safe to walk there, so probably one of the safest places in the entire South Africa. So I've seen lots of families coming there just to walk around. It's really beautiful, and the restaurants are also really good. They also have wine, so they do grow wines, but wine is not kind of like critically acclaimed. It's good wine, but probably not like the most award-winning wine in South Africa, but it's still very good. You can try different wines in one of the tasting rooms. I also loved their shop. The shop is huge and it's divided in different categories. You can buy everything from vegetable to cheeses, dairy, meat there. So I've seen people coming there to do their kind of grocery shopping. We just bought those tangerines because they looked incredibly delicious, and they were probably the most delicious tangerines I've eaten in my entire life. So after walking around for a while, it was time for us to go for lunch in one of the restaurants. So there are actually multiple restaurants located on the territory of the farm, and the one we went to was called Babel. I think there's also a deli where you can eat something quickly, like sandwiches, but Babel, I think it's Babel, is a proper restaurant, and it's specializing in really kind of like down to earth dishes. They have lots of vegetables, lots of simple ingredients, but it was one of the most delicious meals I've eaten in the entire South Africa. It was probably my second favorite meal after the meal in the Finn restaurant. And the restaurant itself was very simple, yet really gorgeous as well. After lunch, we walked around a little bit, and then it was time for us to head back to Cape Town. So Babylonstoren is located in Franschhoek, and it took us around 45 to 50 minutes to drive back to Cape Town. This time we were staying in a different hotel called Protea North Wharf. It's a kind of a proper apart hotel. It was good for us because we could work. And as I mentioned, yeah, we were working remotely for a couple of days. So we were only getting out for lunch and for dinner outside. During one of the dinners, we found this restaurant called the Iron Steak Cape Town, which is a rip-off of the Flat Iron in the UK. But I actually liked this rip-off a bit more. It was more delicious, and the Wagyu steak was one of the best ones I've had in my entire life. And it was also incredibly affordable for a Wagyu steak. So definitely recommend going there. Another place we went during one of the evenings was the Mojo Market. So it's a kind of really nice street food market with the performances of different groups that you can watch. There's also like a sports bar up on the second floor. It's a fun place, and there is a parking nearby. So if you have a car, you can park it there, or you can grab a taxi to get there. Also, if you come there during the day, I think the beach is just around the corner. So some people actually spend some time on the beach afterwards. Got so much plans on our to-do list, mainly because it's also the only sunny day we had in the last probably 4 days. It's been raining, it was really cold, and today is supposed to be sunny and really nice. That's why we woke up really early before the sunrise. We wanted to see the sunrise driving through the city, and that's exactly what's happening. It's currently 7:55 and the light is really beautiful, and surprisingly, even though it's Saturday, there are so many cars on the streets. Our first destination was the Table Mountain, and even though we arrived there really early at around 8:15 a.m., you can already see how many cars are parked there. There are definitely not enough parking spots, and people who arrive later at around 9 or 10 a.m., they have to park really far, and then they have to walk for around maybe 10 minutes. If they have small kids, it's of course very problematic. In our case, we had only to walk for around 4 minutes. Parking is free, but of course you need to pay a small fee to the parking assistant. I think we paid something around 30 rand, and they were really happy. The cable car itself is not cheap. I think we paid around 400 rand per person, which is equivalent to around 17 British pounds or $20 per person, but it is worth it. And it's a very unique car, a cable car that is rotating 360 degrees. So you don't have to actually run inside and take the best spot, because even if you stand next to a window, you will be able to see the 360 panorama of the mountain. And of course, once you're up there, you are free to walk as long as you want and explore the most beautiful spots on top of the Table Mountain. When we arrived, there was a cloud covering kind of part of the view, and we liked it even more because it looked absolutely unreal. We were literally above the clouds. It's quite a nice walk here. I thought we would just go up and down, but it is a really nice walk, and it's not even that cold, luckily. We were so lucky with the weather that it was finally sunny, because as I mentioned, the previous 3 days were rainy and stormy, and it's not advised to go up here if it's raining because you won't be able to see pretty much anything. I think the visibility would be quite poor and the views wouldn't be so nice, or as nice as they are when it's sunny. Our next destination was the most famous beach of Cape Town, the Penguin Beach or the Boulders Beach. It actually was quite a drive away, but the drive took much longer than expected because we were stopping at every single viewpoint like this one, because the views were really beautiful. Once we reached the Boulders Beach, we paid our fee. Foreigners pay around 180 rand, which is equivalent of 8 British pounds or around 10 US dollars. And then we were able to enter the beach. Due to contrary belief, you actually cannot walk through the penguins. The beach where you are allowed to walk is located 10 minutes walking away from the Boulders Beach. And yes, you can walk there, but it is not guaranteed that you will be able to encounter penguins. In our case, we didn't see any, but the beach itself was very, very pretty, so it's worth walking there, even without penguins. You can enter that beach with the same ticket as the main beach. So once you buy one ticket, you can use it in the next beach as well. So coming back to the main beach, the Boulders Beach, there is basically a ramp, or better to say 2 different ramps with 2 different viewpoints from where you are able to see penguins. You can take pictures from the ramp, and when you walk from one viewpoint to another one, this path actually goes through lots of penguin nests, and you could see lots of cute penguins and penguin babies. So yeah, they're really, really cute, and they smell very, very fishy. Our next destination was located just a short drive away, 28 minutes driving. We arrived to one of Cape Town's signature beaches, the Muizenberg. Not sure how it's pronounced, but it is this beach with beautiful, colorful houses, and yeah, it's one of the most popular beaches because it's very, very close to Cape Town. We didn't spend that much time on the beach because we only took a few pictures, and it was relatively cold there, actually not that sunny anymore, and we were rushing to go to the super interesting location in Cape Town called Neighborhood Market. So Neighborhood Market is a street food market, but it's also a clothing market. There are lots of boutiques selling from everything from new clothing to kind of vintage clothing and accessories. There's also a large kind of street food area where you can try foods from different cuisines all over the world. There are bars, there is music. It's a really fun place to go, and they have really good food.
The arm looks like so long, man.
It's only open on the weekends, so that's when you can visit it. We spent around a couple of hours there before heading to our next location, one of the most photographed areas of the city. We arrived to the Bo-Kaap neighborhood, the most colorful, bright neighborhood of Cape Town. It's full of lovely, beautiful, super colorful houses, and I'm wearing this super bright shirt, and who knows, maybe we will find a house that matches my shirt color. Bo-Kaap neighborhood has historically been kind of an immigrant area for mainly Muslim immigrants from countries like Malaysia, and right now it's probably one of the most touristy parts of Cape Town, and it's probably one of the most beautiful areas of the city too. Our final destination for the day was probably the most gorgeous and stunning drives in South Africa. It's called the Chapman Peak Drive. Surprisingly, it's a paid drive. You do need to pay there is a toll at the end of the road or at the start, depending which way you're going. But the views from there are absolutely spectacular. I think I will stop talking for a while and I will just show you the gorgeous views that we have seen from the drive. For dinner, we went to a place called Cloof Street House. It's one of the most popular restaurants in the city, and we were lucky to find a slot for a booking, but everybody recommends booking in advance. It's a gorgeous place. It's our last morning in Cape Town and in all of South Africa. We checked out from our hotel and we decided that it's time to finally visit one of the main attractions of the city, the V&A Waterfront, because we still haven't been there up until now. And then we will have probably an hour or two to visit the botanic garden, the Kirstenbosch. So yeah, we'll try to get out of the day as much as possible. We'll try to see as much as possible today. And yeah, it looks lovely here, but it's so misty. Kind of looks very strange. It was indeed very misty. It looked even mysterious, like a scene from the Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. So V&A Waterfront was really quiet, but it tends to get busy towards the middle of the day. Keep in mind it was quite early in the morning and a little bit cold as well. It's also probably the safest area to walk in the city. There are lots of kind of security guards around, and overall it's a very touristy area. It's where tourists come to do shopping, they come to different restaurants. The views from here are great, and there are a few shopping malls. There was even a souvenir shop with extremely overpriced souvenirs, but I fell in love with a mug and I actually bought it, even though it was something like £15. But yeah, it was really, really pretty, and it's a nice area to walk around. And this is the final destination of our trip, the Kirstenbosch Botanic Garden. The entrance costs 220 rand per person, so close to £10 per person if you're not from South Africa. But it's beautiful. It was recommended to me by a couple of friends, and the most famous thing in here is the canopy walk, and that's where we're going right now. To get there it takes around maybe 10 to 15 minutes. It's like almost like a maze, so we had to follow lots of signs to get here. But once you get here, the views are incredible. It's also quite busy, but just to show you what you can see from there, we walked the canopy walk even a couple of times. And yeah, it was very, very beautiful. Keep in mind that it is literally winter in South Africa, so I can imagine that probably in spring it looks a little bit different. There are way more flowers and trees blooming around, and maybe in summer as well. But even in winter, in South African winter, it was very green. It finally got warm, and it looked lovely. It's also a very nice place to walk around if you like botanical gardens. It's time for us to go back. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I will leave the links to all the things I mentioned in the description box of the video and also in the pinned comment down below. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!